Okay, Allie Cooper, very dear friend of mine, colleague. We started an aerial and acrobatic studio together a few years ago. I'm really excited to talk with you about your latest project, which is an app for aerial conditioning. So before we jump into the questions about how, like your project and everything, just tell everyone a little bit about yourself and kind of why you wanted to get started with an online project.
Yeah, totally. So I've been doing aerial teaching circus arts for about 12 years. And I used to do a lot of traveling and in-person workshops. But recently that's shifted because I'm a new mom and I definitely don't have the time to be doing those things. So while I own a studio in town, but I've felt like I've been so limited about who I can reach by just teaching in-person classes. And it's just not that convenient for me to be away from my family.
Mm-hmm.
And as I was coming back to training postpartum, I was using different fitness apps to try and like give myself some structure and some motivation. And I really acknowledged that there was a void and nothing like that for teaching circus and conditioning. Um, so I kind of had in the back of my mind, I think I remember having this conversation
Mm-hmm.
on a walk, like, wow, like there really should be something for aerialists looking for that roadmap to get back into the air, whether they take a break from work or school or a pregnancy or an injury. Like there's no clear way to get back to where you want to be, and just how that space can be so frustrating and unmotivating, especially if you've been training at a certain level and then all of a sudden you're back revisiting the basics. So I had this idea that I wanted to make an app. And after some initial research and just like how much that would actually cost, I was just like, oh, like I don't have
Yeah.
funds to be able to pull that off. Like it's just kind of this idea, but really felt like it was beyond what I was like, what I had access to. So yeah, I had the idea, and when I came across Passion Apps, it just came at the right time. And yeah, I've been really happy with all that.
Yeah. So how did you, okay, so this is great because I totally remember that walk that we took when you were like, yeah, I want to make an app for conditioning. And I was like, you should. That's a perfect niche market for you. But the big question was like, how? Because creating custom apps is like completely a crazy undertaking. So how did you find out about the Passion app?
Yeah, well, I think I was just completely targeted correctly by their marketing, because I saw, I think on Instagram, just an ad for their webinar and was like, oh, like this looks interesting. Like I want to make an app. Like I'll watch their webinar, and watch the webinar. And I just remember being so excited watching it. I just like, this is exactly what I was looking for. And I just went all in, and I'm really happy that I did.
Yeah, right on. And did you look at any other kinds of platforms out there before you went with Passion app, or they were just like found you, it was what you wanted and you went for it?
Yeah, they found me, and I didn't even look at any others. I was just like, this is exactly, it's the perfect fit.
Okay, great. So just tell us a little bit more about what the Passion app is and what it helps with.
Yeah, so Passion.io is a platform that helps you host and build out your e-learning app. And they have a big focus on like for fitness, and it's very much laid out in a way that's conducive to teaching workouts. But it's also, I think lately, especially with everyone home, they've kind of expanded their scope so that it's applicable to artists, to musicians, really anyone who wants a very like accessible way to deliver content.
Okay. And the one thing that's really different about the Passion app from other platforms that I've looked at, I mean, separately, the Passion app is like for app creation, but the other piece that's really different about what they do is they provide a ton of additional learning to the coach on how to not only build an online program for your app, but also how to market it, correct?
That's right.
Okay, so can you tell me a little bit about what that experience has been like for you? Like, I know it started with like like the first thing you had to do was, you know, identify your audience and what problem you were solving. And so how did it kind of build from there?
Yeah, so when I signed up, part of what was included was the Expert Unleashed Challenge, which is a 30-day challenge that takes you from basically zero to identifying your client, building your app, and selling an online program. So by the end of that, you have paying clients and an app, which is like, I'll take that. That sounds great. So each week or each day you have lessons. And the first week I think was focused on identifying your ideal client. And then the next week was like creating your offer and how you're going to launch it. The third week was actually putting it out into the world, getting those leads, following up with people, making calls, and actually selling your product. And then by the end of that, by the fourth week, then you're actually building out your app and starting to create your content. So it's like a really fast track. But at the same time, it felt really accessible. Like I was able to do it, you know, nap time hustle and late night.
Yeah, because when you were showing me this before we started recording, a lot of the videos for each day are under a half an hour, correct?
So what was that?
In like
Oh,
the videos that you're watching for each day of your learning
mhm.
stuff, it's manageable. It's not like a real long tutorial and then a
Yeah,
worksheet. It's like a short video and a worksheet.
definitely. And that was huge. I didn't realize how great that was until I've done other programs where like you're just expected to watch so much content, and they were very like bite-sized but full of information.
Right on. So just so people are clear, because sometimes we hear the word challenge and we think it's like a physical challenge, but this 30-day challenge was basically, it was 30 days to get to figure out your ideal client, your audience, your offer, start putting that offer out there, even though it wasn't created yet. You hadn't actually created your product. It was just getting like pushing you out there and putting the fire under your ass to create something because you're selling it before you created it, correct?
That's right. And I remember having another conversation with you being like, is this a normal thing to do? Because this sounds terrifying and crazy, but no, it's fine.
Yeah. And is there any kind of accountability that they have once you're in the program? Like, say, like you drop off for a couple of days or something, like, or is it kind of on you to keep going?
No, the community is a huge part of it. They have like a Facebook group that at the end every day you're expected to like post in the Facebook group like the answers to your worksheet, and they have this really interesting setup where you're supposed to share and nominate. So you share what you did, and then you nominate someone who's crushing it in the group and someone who hasn't been posting. So that kind of generates this peer accountability, which is really exciting and fun. Another thing that they've started doing, but I think they started this after I had done my initial launch, was they actually have like an onboarding like accountability buddy. So like
Mhm.
someone will call you and then they'll check up with you in 3 weeks, like from the Passion staff. So there's a lot of things in place to make sure that you actually finish it.
Oh, that's awesome. And who was in your Facebook group? Like, how many people were there in that?
When I started, I think it was pretty small. I think there was about like 200 or 300 people. Just in the last month, I think it's doubled.
Yeah, I'm sure.
But
Yeah.
those are people like from all the challenges. Obviously, the people who are doing the challenge in that moment are the most active.
Right, right, exactly. Cool. Well, why don't you screen share with us so you can walk us through the back end of things a little bit so we can see what things
Yeah,
look like on your end.
close this. Zoom. All right. What would you like to see first?
Well, okay, to start with from the beginning. So like once you decide you wanted to do this, show us the kind of like learning
Okay.
portal that you.
All right. So once you sign up, you have access to your programs. And in here, there's all these different ones. There's Expert Unleashed, this Traffic Mastery one, which is what I'm doing now, and it's amazing. And all this other information, essentially, how to use it, Yeah, lots of content. They recommend you start with this Expert Unleashed challenge. So let's look at it. Come on.
But you get all of these programs when you sign up for it.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know like what offers they have and what is included in which offer, but the one that I got, this was included.
And do you remember what your offer was called?
I don't. I'm pretty sure that most of their packages include most of the programs.
Okay.
All right, so you get a little welcome. So this is an example of week 1. You're identifying your ideal client. So let's just look at this one. So
yeah, all those time slots are real doable.
Yeah. So you get to watch a little video with Dan, who's very enthusiastic, and he kind of explains to you what your dream client is, right? So you get some information, and then you do your worksheet. Let's go. So time to create your avatar, basically. You actually like find an image of someone who represents your dream client. So like every time you're creating your offer and you're trying to think of like what they would want, you're like, oh, well, mine was Josie. So I'm like, oh, what would Josie want? So you're really kind of like creating this.
Yeah, an avatar for who your client is. Yeah.
You give them a name, you give them an age, location, profession, their biggest problem, their biggest goal, what's stopping them, their previous attempts, their current situation, and their desired situation. Once you fill this out, and you do this for every day, you write your email, they get a copy so they know if you're doing them, and then you get a copy. After that is when you would post your copy to Facebook, share and nominate, etc. So you go through that sometime, and then week 2 is how you're creating your offer.
So this is how you pitch your program to the world, basically.
Exactly. Really, the launch plan, I think, is the most valuable part of this challenge, because they give you a script that's really good, and based on all of these, the script is just like fill in the blank. It's like, okay, blah, 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 insert your identity or insert your dream client. So once you've done all of week 2, you really have all the information to write a very strong sales script. And they give you a little sales training.
And when you say sales script, this is basically what you were putting on Instagram.
Yeah,
right?
On social media, exactly.
Which you got a really great response with, like right off the bat.
Yeah, I was kind of shocked, actually. And then week 3 is when you're launching it, and it's super clear. Like first day, they're like, okay, launch your hype post. Day 2, this is your launch day. Your cart is open, and then you so they give you all the information and they tell you exactly what to do. And then by the end of that, you have calls booked, and you're hopefully getting paying clients. And then week 4.
Hang on one second. The way that they do it basically is they give you a script, they get people to express interest on social media through a comment. Mm-hmm. And then from there, everybody that expresses interest through a comment, you reach out to them individually as they have instructed you to set up short calls with every person to basically make a FaceTime connection with them. Mm-hmm. And that's where you close it.
Yeah, the flow is you have your post, they make a comment, you DM them with an application, they fill out the application, which is also giving you their email address, and at the end of the application, they book a call with you.
Got it.
1 second.
No worries.
Oh. Okay. Sorry.
No worries. No, that's really helpful. And sorry, go on. So they book a call after they fill out the application. And would you say that from that whole experience, like what was the percentage of people who actually booked a call with you? Like of the number of people that commented on your first round, like how many people did you, I know you had to cap it at some point because you got too many people, but like of the people who like said, yeah, like I'm ready, like
My first round
50%?
was crazy, and it was definitely more than 50%. I think I had like 60 people book calls. Like it was bonkers, and even more applications. So yeah, the process definitely works.
And what about your second round? Because I know I saw you post recently that you were doing a second round of this.
Yeah, I mean, there's like still more than 50% of people that I sent that commented and I sent the application actually booked a call, and that's conservative. It's probably more than that.
Right on. Okay, cool. So then you build the app.
Mm-hmm. So then you build the app, and the way they recommend it is you're just building like your first week. So you do your first week, and then you're asking for feedback from your challengers, and then so you're just going 1 week ahead of where you're at, which feels a little bit crazy, but that's what you do.
And it felt crazy because you were like, I should have a finished product before I'm doing this, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But what was good about it is that they didn't let you have the final product so that you could be tweaking and editing as you went. So you created 1 week and you learned a lot from that first week that you could apply to your second week.
Exactly. And plus just doing it all ahead of time would have been so overwhelming. So it broke it down into a more manageable process.
Got it. Cool. Continue.
All right. So then that's basically it. You wrap up your 4th week. You have created your app. You submit it to Google and iTunes to be approved. And then they recommend that you actually start your challenge 2 weeks after the challenge closes so that you have some time to create your content and build out that first week and not feel super rushed. Yeah.
And just for language, so people aren't confused.
Yeah.
Your challenge that you created is essentially a 6-week program.
Yes.
Right.
Exactly.
Okay. Just want to make sure everybody understands what it is.
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And then what? So then so you did this first time. You launched it. You got all these people in it. You built it out. And what comes next? What's the next step for you?
Next step is actually building out that first week. And they actually provide a bunch of like license-free stock videos and photos of generic exercises. Because what I do is so specialized, I had to film everything myself.
Right.
So that's what that looked like for me. But I mean, in theory, they give you everything that you would need to get something going. So what I did is I filmed all my content. Well, first of all, let me show you this. This is like the front end. So this is what you would be making in week 4. We're actually building out what your app will look like so that you can submit it to iTunes and Google Store. So pick a name, you do a little description. This is what people would see in the App Store. Build your icon. And actually he gives a little tutorial on like how to build your icon in Canva. Like and like what dimensions these all need to be. Like it's very thorough. You set your pricing, you set your theme. You can add testimonials, and then all of a sudden you have an app, which is awesome.
Yeah, so, that is awesome.
Yeah, it's like, whoa, like that's like the easiest part of the whole challenge. And then, so once your app gets approved in your passion products, this is my 6-week challenge or my program that I sold my initial group. So let's look in here. So start with so the one that I used was 2 tiers. It was weeks and days. I know they have a 3-tier program also, but this is just what I used. Um, so what it looks like, these are all lessons.
Okay.
So in my introduction, da, 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 and then to add to it or to build it, you choose a widget. You can have image, video, text, files they can download, or a stopwatch. So it's really just click and drag and drop, really easy.
Nice. And will you click on the mobile
Yeah.
icon? Because I really like that you can preview it right right there, or edit or whatever.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one thing, like you can do preview. One thing in the preview mode in this builder, like the videos don't play, but you can either test it on your app or you can test it in the subdomain, but that's besides the point. So an example of how I structured my workout. So I gave a PDF download of like a printout of the workout, and then let's see. So here's like my warm-up circuit.
Mm-hmm.
So in these, you have the option of having an interactive exercise, which is basically you tell them how many to do, or a time. So for some of my other ones, I had like hold a 30-second plank, and there would actually be a countdown timer that did that. So when I'm building it, I just click this. It would create a new one. I'm not going to do it because it's live.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, don't change anything.
Yeah, you can duplicate them really easily. To edit, click that. You can insert a picture. You can have an instructional video. And what I use and what I really love is the playback video. Then you just need a 2 to 5 second video that will just loop.
Repeat.
Mm-hmm.
Got it. Cool.
Well, that's what I did.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So this is great. So then you create this as you go along. So now you have this 6-week program that obviously you can reuse over and over again.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and this is I just yesterday started the 3rd group of this. So like it's so great that it's repeatable, and I'm just kind of making tweaks along the way.
Mm-hmm. And tell me the difference between like, okay, so what I see if I go to the App Store and look you up, the App Store offers like a monthly recurring price. Is that different than the 6-week challenge?
Yeah, so the challenge or the program that I'm selling includes the app, but it also includes a weekly coaching call with the group. We're all on a WhatsApp accountability group. I include all of the workouts in an ebook. I give a little nutrition guide, which Passion actually provides you. So it's a more comprehensive program that I'm more engaged with. So that's what the program is for my challenge. When people outside the program sign up for my app, at the subscription rate, they're only getting the app. So it's more like I'm not involved at all with that. So it's all passive income at the point. Yeah.
And is it different? Is the workout structure different on the app versus the challenge?
No, it's the same program, but not getting like the one-on-one coaching element.
Yep, got it. Cool. So then what's next for you? Like, what are you learning about now? Because I know like after you did the first round and even the second round, maybe you started working on more marketing stuff, which they're helping you with.
Yeah, let me go back to this one. So now that I have, actually, as I was doing my second round, I wanted to do this traffic mastery program that they offer. Let me show you. This one, which is great. But that one is less like, it's not like you do something every day. She like gives you some information, and then there's tasks for that module. So you kind of have to like learn a bunch, implement, and then come back. So I started that, talks to you all about Facebook, pixel magic, But really, before I could go on here, I needed a funnel. So I kind of took a
Mhm.
break from passion and went to ClickFunnels and did their One Funnel Away challenge, built out a sales funnel, and now I'm coming back to this, where it really tells you how to the ins and outs of Facebook ad manager and targeting and retargeting, and like there's so much information
Mhm.
of building out your ads. So this is where I'm at now. I did this ultimate ad formula and just basically making your creatives, and the next step will be launching that. So that's where I'm at with that, because while I really enjoy doing the challenge groups and working with people, like the end goal of all this is to create, like to scale the app and just have it be more hands off for me to generate lots of money easily.
Right. Yeah, more passively. So I'm just gonna pause for 1 second to explain a little bit about some of this stuff if people don't know what a funnel is.
Yeah.
Um, so a funnel is basically you're setting up a way for people, like for you to create ads that drive traffic back to your website to then create an offer for them in some way to collect their email address. So like top of the funnel would be people see this all the time on Facebook where somebody's offering something for free, like a free supplement guide or a free workout or something that basically like you give them your email address and then you get this thing emailed to you for free. So that puts you into a funnel, a sales funnel for that company where they then continue to provide you with free content or emails and newsletters with the hope that eventually you will purchase something. So, Allie, you're just kind of starting to delve into the process of doing that
Yeah,
now.
I knew absolutely nothing about this like a month and a half ago. And like the whole thing was like, is this like a real thing? Like, is this something that people do? But yes, it is, and it's worth learning.
Yeah, it's basically the only way that you can sell things online after a certain point. Like one of the things that's been so great, and you can stop sharing. This has been awesome. Thank you. One of the things that has been like really great for you is that you have already built your authority within your field. So people who are watching this might not know you, but within the aerial and circus community, you are very well known. So you have a pretty large following of people who know and trust you already, which has, I think, been really key in like that initial launch period. Because you haven't had to convince people to sign up. Like they know you. They're like, oh, you're making a thing. I already love you. Like, yes, I'm in. Let me do it. So I feel like once you get past, or once any trainer or coach gets past like the initial like kind of low hanging fruit of your community that you've already built prior to this, the only way to do that is by advertising to get more people following you so that you can like build that audience even more. And yeah, I know it all sounds kind of crazy in the beginning when you start like thinking about like, you know, creating the free thing that you're offering, your lead magnet, and like
Oh,
how it all works. And
now it's super like it's exciting and it's fun to like strategize in that way that I haven't really experienced with like building up my business. So it's a different side of it, but I'm enjoying it.
yeah. And just to reiterate, so people are clear, you had no concept of any of this stuff going into it, correct?
None whatsoever.
But it's all been pretty manageable to learn from your
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
So in your thoughts about the whole experience, like who would be the best like fit for going to do something like this? Like what are your thoughts on like who would benefit from this program?
I mean, I feel like Passion Apps, like I've been so happy with my experience with them, and I'm like I really feel like it could work in a way for anybody, like depending on what you're trying to sell. Like I think what helped me a lot is that when I identified my ideal client, it was basically me 6 months ago. So if you're able to have an authentic message and have like, I don't know, like how, like, what am I saying?
Yeah. So, okay. So when you were starting, did you have an idea of who that ideal client was, or did it really come to light when you started working on the program?
I had an idea, but it definitely, the program like shaped that. And I think what worked well for me is that the base of my following, and I don't have a huge social media following, but the people that I do have are my ideal client. So
Right. They're your people.
like know your people, I think. So I
Okay.
back to your question, like anyone who knows your people and like is connected with who they want to serve, I think it would be a good program for anybody.
Great. So if somebody doesn't need to have their program figured out, they don't need to know exactly what that's going to look like, but having an idea of like who their following is, who they're going to be marketing towards, like if that is somewhat built already, or if they have that, that's like a real strong case to go with this.
Like
Yeah.
if you have something that you're passionate about and that you want to share, yeah, it's a great venue or avenue for doing that.
Right on. And can you talk a little bit about how the pricing structure has worked? Because it's a little bit of a pricier option than most other, software options on the market right now to create like an online program of sorts. But I think it's pretty much worth it considering all of the education that you get around things. Because one thing I don't like with several software products that are out there is that they're like, yeah, here, come create a program. Good luck selling it. Like they don't provide you with a lot of support around how to market and sell it. So just I wanted to throw that out there before you throw numbers down for us and everyone freaks out.
Yeah, well, the way they do it when I signed up is you watch their webinar. They give you like the whole rundown and
which is free, right?
Yeah, the free webinar, and you watch it. And the program that I got was the 6 months access to Passion.io, which is the whole platform for building out the app. And the 6 months of that, plus all the trainings and programs involved. And that was $997. So I feel like that was totally worth it, especially when like my initial launch, they say like try and get 5 to 10 paying clients for your first one. I had 22. So I made like over $4,000 for my first challenge. So like I definitely felt like what I paid up front was completely worth it.
Right, because you made it back and then
I
some in
made
your
it
first.
back and then some. Yeah, and then it's repeatable. So you can do it again after. Like I did it back to back. Like this is my third challenge. So after 6 months, it goes to a monthly rate of like $250, I think. I can't remember exactly, but it's somewhere in that range.
And just so people listening understand, like, yes, it's a recurring $250 or whatever it is a month, but that includes all of this hosting of your app. It includes access to all these resources that you can continue to learn from. So like, for example, other online platforms where that will host learning programs for you. Like if you want to put up a program on like Teachable or Kajabi or whatever, those prices, there's going to be a monthly recurring rate on those as well, but they don't include any of the additional marketing help and things like that. So you're really on your own with some of the other ones, whereas this one, it definitely sounds like you're part of something much bigger and get a lot of support.
Yeah, support within the community, and also just their support team is great. Like really, like they've been a little bit inundated just recently, but really pleasant people to work with that you feel are really wanting you to succeed. One other thing I'll mention is they also offer your app and your program as like on a subdomain. So people can buy your program through Passion and kind of bypass the Apple store, and where like you sell something on iTunes and Apple takes a 30% commission. So if you're able to direct your funnel in a way that people are buying your app through passion, then you get all of it.
Oh, right on. So that's really good to know, because I've never even thought about it, how much Apple takes when somebody gets something through the App Store. So that's good. 30%, that's a lot. That's not nothing. But if they come directly through you, through passion, and if people find you through, like, are they able to find you through passion exclusively, or do they have to come through you in some way?
They have to come through you. Like passion doesn't have a directory of.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Cool. So basically, to summarize, what you have created is a 6-week coaching group, right? And then through that, the content is delivered through an app, except for calls with you, like more direct coaching that's happening with you. And that app is also available for people to purchase through the iTunes store totally separately. So basically, you've created 2 revenue streams right now, one that's totally automated and one that's partially automated. And you're hoping to drive traffic more to the automated version going forward.
Yeah, and what's interesting and a nice feature that they've just, like, they give you metrics, and that we have some autonomy. This is a new feature. So if you're selling like the app as part of another program that you're doing outside of all this, you can have people pay for your program, however, through PayPal or Stripe, and you can grant individual people access to the app. So you don't have to go through passion, like you have that ability to control it.
Got it. So you can structure this in a couple different ways, however you want. Like if somebody was like, hey, Allie, I want to hire you privately and pay you a buttload of money for you to take me individually through your program, you're like, yep, you're going to pay me this much through PayPal, and then I'm going to give you access, and this is what you're going to use.
Like something I'm considering now is starting a Patreon, and one of the tiers will include app access, and it will be super easy to add that in too. So yeah, lots of different ways to do it.
Awesome. Yeah, this sounds like it could definitely be a really great resource for a lot of coaches, especially the ones who are like pretty ready to go with an automated program of some kind.
Definitely.
Right on. So I'm going to leave your information, like tag you, so that if people want to ask you questions, and I'm also going to leave a link to the Passion app. So if people want to go check it out, check the program notes for this, and feel free to ask questions, because Allie's very versed with them now.
Yeah, I'm happy to talk about it.
Okay, cool. Well, thank you so much. This has been super helpful to like see everything, and I've been kind of like watching their website for a little while, so like to get to talk to you and ask you more questions about it has been really awesome.
Definitely. And I have access to like a test account, so if anyone wants to get those credentials and poke around in that, just like DM me.
Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, thank you so much.
Yeah. Good talking with you, Rose.